Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We welcome you to the Hyatt Regency Trinidad. I'll kindly ask for our specially invited guests and those here in the ballroom to kindly make your way to your seats at this time. We will be about to start the proceedings shortly. Once you're seated, we will get underway with our safety briefing, and those with mobile phones, could you just ensure that they're on the silent mode for the proceedings so that they're not a distraction during the program. Thank you. Your attention, please. The safety guidelines from the Hyatt Regency Trinidad.
Welcome to the Hyatt Regency Trinidad. Your safety and well-being during your time with us is our first main priority. Therefore, it is essential and necessary that you are familiar with our emergency and evacuation procedures. Should it become necessary to evacuate the hotel, a continuous siren will sound, followed by an audible announcement to evacuate the building. When you hear, "May I have your attention, please," over the public address system, you should proceed to the exit closest to you and make your way to the muster point, proceeding east along the waterfront towards the western end of the Femme du Chalet, also known as the breakfast shed. In the event of an earthquake, do not run out of the building. Stay calm, drop cover, and hold on. If evacuation is required, please listen to the instruction via the hotel's PA system for the earthquake evacuation route and muster point. Associates from Hyatt will assist you with evacuating. Once outside, conduct a head count for your group to ensure that everyone is accounted for. Should you believe someone is missing, notify the Hyatt associate in your area. Do not return to the building for any reason until the fire service has stated it is safe to do so. You are also advised that the use of cannabis, tobacco, and vaping are prohibited on the hotel's premises. Thank you, be safe, and have an enjoyable time with us.
Thank you for your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand for the national anthem of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, performed this morning by Mr. John Thomas, tenor.
Forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Thank you. Will you please remain standing, and we invite to lead a morning prayer this morning on behalf of the interreligious organization, Representative Baba Neil Rawlins.
Hikaro. President, good morning. I call on the calming waters of the divine messenger, the owner of white light and consciousness, the mother of the earth, the ancestors, and the parts of and future of our existence. I salute you. I give praise to the omnipotent Olodumare and the universe. I give praise to Mother Earth and all nature and its beings. I give praise to the guiding spirit that grants our existence. I give praise to the regional ancestors, former prime ministers and cricketers of West Indian history, who in their era of the game reformed this game called cricket, sweet cricket. Today, as we engage in the conversation on reinvigorating West Indies cricket, we pay tribute to all those that came before us. We echoed profound gratitude. I call on Baba Obatala, the Orisha of wisdom and knowledge, owner of the white cloth and consciousness, which signifies peace, sober decision-makings, creativity, purity, and divination, in comparison to the white uniform of cricket. We pray that this color embodies patience, agility, clarity of mind, strategy, and wisdom associated with the game, which can be attained through thoughtfulness. As the CARICOM Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Cricket takes this initiative designed to address West Indies cricket multifaceted obligations and challenges through collaborative approach, you have taken a social responsibility that is associated with eldership and the inherent wisdom of a sage. In the element of leadership in the region, we are hopeful that the conversation will also examine external concerns on the current issues in ours and other regions, on the rumors of war in Haiti, Israel, and Nigeria. I ask that our spiritual ancestors, the ancient ones, of the Gongon, the ancestral mothers and fathers, all energies of this universe, to be part of these very important conversations, and that they become a catalyst for peace, prosperity, for positive outcomes and solutions in our region and the world at large. This I ask forever. On behalf of the Interreligious Organization of Trinidad and Tobago, I wish the CARICOM Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Cricket great success. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Thank you very much to Baba Neil Rawlins, the IRO representative. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to sit. Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Chair of the CARICOM Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Cricket, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados. Joining us online, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and Chair of CARICOM. I acknowledge Senator the Honorable Reginald Armour SC, Attorney General of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Senator the Honorable Randall Mitchell, Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts and Acting Minister of Sport and Community Development, the Honorable Charles S. Ramson, Minister for Culture, Youth and Sport, representing here in Port of Spain, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Ambassador Earl Huntley, representing the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, former Prime Minister of Grenada, other honorable ministers of the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the region, Your Excellencies, heads of diplomatic missions accredited to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Assistant Secretary General CARICOM, Alison Drayton, Dr. Kishore Shalu, President, Cricket West Indies, CWI directors, and other executives of CWI. Our esteemed legends of cricket and legends of West Indies cricket. Heads and other representatives of national and regional cricket bodies, former and current West Indies cricketers, permanent secretaries, other specially invited guests, members of the media, our audiences joining us online and on channels across the Caribbean, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome to Port of Spain, and welcome to the CARICOM Regional Cricket Conference, Reinvigorating West Indies Cricket, a symposium for strategic collaboration and innovation. For the next 2 days, I have the honor and pleasure of serving as your Master of Ceremonies. I'm Wendell Constantine. It's a privilege to be with you. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the stage to deliver the opening address and welcome remarks, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Chair of the CARICOM Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Cricket. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Wendell. I would like to take this opportunity, if I do nothing else, but to adopt the salutations that have been made, but I couldn't do that without acknowledging the presence of my Prime Ministerial colleague, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Right Honorable Mayor Motley, other members of governments of the region, my own cabinet colleagues from Trinidad and Tobago, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, particularly the legends of West Indies cricket. I would like to welcome you on behalf of the CARICOM Secretariat and the heads of government of CARICOM to Trinidad and Tobago, where we've gathered in this room in what I presume is one of the unique occasions in our nation history. And by nation, I speak about the West Indian nation. West Indies cricket creates a strange nation, but it's an effective one, because we have been world leaders in this game that we love so much. And you may ask, why is it important for us to want a reinvigoration of West Indies cricket? It is because our Caribbean nation is lifted when we win, when we play well, and we are depressed when we don't do well in cricket. We are not the first nation to have had issues with our game, but what drove this conference to its reality today is an impatience and an understanding that, unlike other nations that have had downs in their cricket history, we in the Caribbean seem to be taking a very long time to come out of our downturn in cricket. As world champion, I would do well today to acknowledge the presence in this gathering of Sir Clive Lloyd. And his colleague legends who are with us today, to say that we acknowledge that we are, in fact, by population, the smallest population playing international cricket, Test cricket, and so on. Many West Indians don't realize that. We are, in fact, the smallest population of people who play in this game and wanting to compete at the highest level, and having set records of all kinds. But there's something about us in the Caribbean that might be special in this game, because we could play this game. Sir Gary Sobers held the record for many, many years for the most runs ever made. And then Brian Lara broke that record and broke it again. But for me, the most important understanding that size doesn't matter, it's quality that matters, is when Barbados, at its independence, engaged the rest of the world in cricket in a test match. And for 4 to 5 days, Barbados had the edge. It took a miracle by Mustafa Mohammed to change that, otherwise history would have been made where the dot of Barbados had beaten the world in cricket. We can play this game. And that is why we should not give up on this game. And this conference in Trinidad and Tobago at this time is precisely for that purpose, signaling that we do not intend to give up on cricket. We intend to defend cricket, and we intend to play cricket at the highest level, and we'll get back to the top. Ladies and gentlemen, we haven't been doing very well in some aspects of the game, but in the midst of that, we sent a team to Australia recently. Babes, they destroyed the strongest Australian team. We can play this game. Recently, in the new popular genre of the game, T20, there was a selection of an all-time T20 IPL team. The Caribbean team, West Indies, got 5 picks on that team. And it didn't include Puran, it didn't include Hetmaya, and it didn't include Akil Hussain. We got 5 picks out of 11. I think somebody didn't want to pick 8 out of 11. But the important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is not that we can't play the game. I spent the last year, having taken up this appointment at the CARICOM, talking to as many people as I can who know about West Indies cricket or who is interested in West Indies cricket. And the one thing that I've come away with to tell you here today is that there's great dissatisfaction with our attempt to manage West Indies cricket. We have the talent, but apparently the problems are equally to be shared among non-performance on the field as non-performance in management. And what I've been told in many, many instances is that apparently being able to bat or bowl is not a good enough qualification to be able to manage the game. I had the opportunity a few years ago, about 6 years ago, to spend some time with Cricket Australia, in Australia, trying to figure out how they went about dealing with lifting themselves out of the doldrums that they were in. And the one thing that was clear to me, I came away with an understanding that there's cricket the game and there's cricket the business. And I throw that out to be challenged, but to be understood that if we are to make progress from this day forward, we have to have an appreciation that there's management of cricket the game, and in today's multi-billion-dollar international industry, there's cricket the business. And if you're going to manage business, manage the game, the first thing that comes to us is management of the resources. After we do an analysis, so there's something that goes on in business they call a SWOT analysis, where you analyze your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And if we do that during this conference, all I will ask you to do is to be brief, to be engaged, and to be honest. West Indies cricket is a strong brand. When I went to Melbourne to talk to the Australians, there was a genuine sense of sadness that West Indies cricket was in fact in decline according to them. Some of our own people here in the Caribbean believe that Test cricket is in decline. We don't want to agree with that, because if you look around the world when Test cricket is being played in those populations, you will still see that Test cricket is the champagne of cricket. And ladies and gentlemen, we have to take responsibility for West Indies cricket. We have a strong brand. We have weaknesses. The main weakness is insularity. But that insularity is our peculiarity. We are the only cricketing nation that is made up of a number of nations, so we usually don't get consensus. But our peculiarity, our diversity, may be our own strength. And of course, there are opportunities, and sometimes we lose those opportunities. one opportunity lost is to be in a position to ensure that in the billion-dollar industry, in the money-making part of the business, that we are there to earn. Ladies and gentlemen, on that comment, I want to say today that in the interest of West Indies cricket and managing resources that are available to us or should be available to us, that it is absolutely essential for West Indies cricket to reopen the CPL contract and to look at the resources available to West Indies cricket. That lopsided contract must not stand. And secondly, there are threats. And one of the threats is that we can allow cricket to die by having Trinity College, a boys' school in Trinidad and Tobago, without a cricket field or without a cricket net. A boys' school in Trinidad, where the boys probably don't have a sports master and the game is not played. And the Queen's Park Oval can become a place they used to play cricket. These are the issues for West Indies cricket. Our legendary ground, Queen's Park Oval, we haven't seen a test match since when? The insularity that damages us is not the players on the field, because as my interest, my research has shown that when the players come together to rally around the West Indies, they rally together as brothers. A lot of the problems are elsewhere. We need to own up, and we need to stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, all is not lost. I'm open to criticism. I'm open to complaints. But at the end of the day, I hope by tomorrow evening, what we will leave here with is some either incipient or commitment to have a plan for going forward, which will give West Indies cricket an opportunity to generate players from sustainable nurseries with sustainable resources, which include corporate CARICOM, and also a commitment to want to get back to where we dominated 2 decades ago. It is possible, it is expected, and it is the future of our children. So, ladies and gentlemen, whether we talk about our male players or our women, cricket and West Indies go together. It's our history, it's our legend, it's our legacy. Let us not give it up lightly. Today, I ask you, as you participate, to be cognizant that we have a lot of things to say. I expect everybody in here is an expert on cricket and have a lot to say. But just bear in mind that time is of the essence. And at the end of the day, repeating something 10 times don't make it any more forceful. Raising it once to be observed would be useful. I am anxious to hear what has to be said in this forum and what tomorrow we'll do, distillation of what we're saying, what we're doing, and hopefully we can provide some guiding beacon for a game we love and means so much to us. Thank you all so much for coming, and let us defend our game and enjoy cricket the way we used to. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, Chair of the CARICOM Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Cricket. Thank you, Prime Minister. Well, we're in a working session for the majority of today and tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to deliver remarks the President of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Kishore Shallow.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. Pleasant good morning, everyone. Please allow me to adopt the salutations. However, I must recognize our host, the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Chair of the CARICOM Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Cricket. Also, his esteemed colleague, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Mottley. Thanks for being here with us this morning. And of course, we all don't get the opportunity very often to see our legends. So I'm sure you won't mind if I recognize their presence as well. Really grateful for your efforts to be here. I know some, in the case of Sir Clive, is here all the way from England, and the others who traveled across the region, some not as mobile as before, as we understand. And so we are really appreciative of your efforts to be here. It certainly is gratifying and reassuring when plans and efforts come together, purposefully. And I'm sure that, similar to me, you feel very proud, elated, surprised for some to be amongst cricket enthusiasts. It's something that doesn't happen too often. And of course, we're doing it to discuss a single agenda item, West Indies cricket. And I've prepared a script, so, you'll see me glimpsing down at my tablet every now and then because, again, we're not sure when this opportunity is going to come around again, certainly from my perspective at Cricket West Indies. So I don't want to miss anything, and so I've documented some stuff here. But over the last few weeks, I'll be up, I'm a late night person, I'll be up at 1 a.m. and I'll see a message coming from the Honorable Prime Minister, Keith Rowley. And I would go sleep, wake up about after 7, and then I see messages were coming in at 6 a.m. again on WhatsApp from the Honorable Prime Minister. And this is evidence of the passion and determination to realize this symposium. And I don't want us in any way to underestimate the efforts that have gone into this symposium. And Prime Minister Rowley, I really want to thank you on behalf, I'm sure, everyone here and West Indians across the world this morning who was looking at this symposium, to say thanks to you for hosting and investing your resources from the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks. I also want to express my appreciation to Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Mottley, who continues to demonstrate her affection and love for cricket through actions. And of course, from the very start when I commenced my journey as the President of Cricket West Indies, she has been very supportive. And Prime Minister Mottley, I want to say that I appreciate you and grateful for all your words of encouragement and advice over my tenure so far. Thank you. What I may say next probably may be interpreted as a story, but I believe that it is quite important for the context of this symposium. I grew up in a small village in St. Vincent and the Grenadines called Coast Hill on the north leeward side of the island. And my experience as a little boy, I'm sure, will resonate with every single one of you in this room. Glued to the televisions, radio, friends and family flocking, whether at shops or nearby, just observing, listening to cricket. Nerve-wracking, heart-wrenching moments, but certainly unmatched jubilation. And this era where I am from in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it has only produced less than a handful of international cricketers. Wilfred Slack, His Excellency Michael Finley, who was here with us, Ian Allen, and in recent times, Keswick Williams. But for these people in this small community, it was never about celebrating these individuals who they know, but it was about celebrating West Indian people. And every time the West Indies team did well, as the Honorable Prime Minister said a while ago, you would almost feel that buzz. Everyone would walk with the chest a bit higher, in some cases a lot higher. And that certainly, from there on, suggested to me that there was something special about cricket in the West Indies and for West Indian people. As a 12-year-old, I went across to the east of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to Barbados for the very first time to play cricket. And in my humble opinion, I must say that I believe that Barbados, in our region certainly, and maybe across the world, is unmatched when it comes to cricket history. But from between playing cricket, observing cricket, reading, I gained tremendous insights and exposure to what West Indies cricket represents. And with such reality, and like many again in this room, I develop an unconditional love, everlasting passion for our cricket. And similar to what we have heard from Prime Minister Rowley, and I'm sure you'll hear later on from Prime Minister Motley, many esteemed Caribbean leaders, historians, and other notables have all articulated the relevance of West Indies cricket to the world. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, who unfortunately is not here with us this morning, had some travel challenges, but he wrote an extensive essay in one of his books, Our Caribbean Civilization and Its Political Prospects. Also, we had former Jamaican Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Michael Mundy, presenting many facts about the great sport of cricket and a West Indies perspective that certainly won't be lost on anyone if you immerse yourself in that book. Of course, we have heard as well from CLR James, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, and countless others who have documented positions on West Indies cricket and what West Indies cricket has done to liberate our people. And it is astonishing, certainly to me, that with such rich history and significance, our game isn't grounded in a more stable foundation. In fact, to the average fan, certainly the younger generation, our reality may even be perplexing, wondering, what are we talking about? What great institution? If they only just tune in to West Indies cricket. Quite often, I hear the questions such as, how can an institution that held such dominance once upon a time be so vulnerable now? And why have we dominated in every single format of the game at some point, but yet there are still struggles for us to be in the top 5 of the world ranking? And to me, consider myself a student of the game. I have immersed myself in several cricket books about West Indies cricket, including some written by our esteemed legends here this morning. And for me, it is quite glaring. The evidence are quite glaring in terms of the issues and the challenges that we have encountered over the years that have us in this current state. Now understand this. Any book written on West Indies cricket over the last 5 decades have observed, or if once they're balanced in any way, they would have diagnosed the issues of West Indies cricket and our entire system. CLR James spoke of the insularity. Michael Manley spoke about an approach that is more aligned to nationalistic behavior. And you just heard PM Rowley spoke of insularity. I'm not sure if we're going to be silent on that over the next couple of days, but we'll wait and see. Michael Holden, in his text, No Holding Back, spoke of then West Indies Cricket Board's incompetence. And of course, there are many others who wrote of, like I said, the issues. But for this occasion, I'm going to adapt a statement in Sir Wesley Hall, who is in our presence this morning, his book, Answering the Call. And I quote, "Failure is not a single cataclysmic event, but a series of little mistakes." And some may argue, or even loudly whisper that these are by no means little mistakes. I may agree. But I believe it was psychologist Carl Jung who said we cannot change anything unless we accept it. So in order to proceed with fixing or resolving our issues and challenges, we have to accept the deficiencies. Those diagnoses over the years in countless texts that are so well documented and available to us, we have to accept what we need to fix. And I believe this symposium this morning is a starting point, of course, of accepting the challenges that we face, our shortfalls over the years, the countless suggestions made to us, including former heads of government, but certainly cricket administrators, that these suggestions that have fallen deaf over the years must now be accepted. Now, Michael Manley, in one of his texts again, and I make reference to him, in the long run of history lies below a road and self-imposed insular incompetence and a high road of adventure in Caribbean regionalism leading on to wider possibilities. And I do believe that this sentiment still holds very true. And what it speaks about is, though there are individual brilliance from time to time that will lead the charge of success, no sustained triumph is possible without each player understanding and performing their role. And the Prime Minister, Ralph Gonsalves, again, he spoke about this same individual brilliance, which many of our forebears rightly emphasize on. And he spoke of them achieving multiple things collectively. And I'm truly hopeful that at the end of this symposium on Friday, there is an elevated degree of comprehension of stakeholders' role. I also believe that there will be a greater appreciation for collaboration to advance West Indies cricket. West Indies cricket, no doubt, remains one of the most iconic brands in sports. And I mean, again, you could read many books, not only from West Indians, but others, to understand. I recall one occasion last year. I was in South Africa with Sir Vivian Richards and others. My CEO, Johnny Grave, he was there also. And Jack Callis, I'm sure everyone in this room, at least most, know who Jack Callis is. It was just after we got knocked out of the World Cup and missed the opportunity for the first time to qualify. And Jack Callis stood on stage and said, I cannot imagine West Indies not at the World Cup. A World Cup without West Indies is like going to the beach without sun. And then I spoke to a few of the African delegates who were there, and they told me how much it hurt them to actually see a defeat of West Indies team from that World Cup. In fact, two gentlemen I recall said that it brought tears to their eyes. One was one was from Zimbabwe, and he said he felt it more when West Indies got knocked out of the World Cup than when Zimbabwe exited. Now, people, I say this to remind you of the passion that is out there for cricket, West Indies, and what West Indies cricket means to persons beyond the Caribbean. I conclude by encouraging everyone to embark on this two-day symposium with an open mind. I am optimistic that the exchanges will be rich in substance and that at the end of this symposium, there will be an alignment of the minds, and we can further build on the legacy of West Indies cricket. And I want to end by echoing the words of Sir West, who is with us again this morning. And Sir West said in his book, Answering the Call, cricket in the West Indies is a metaphor that mirrors cultural, political, and social change, a regional integrator, a uniting force, and a microcosm of life. Let us use this actuality as the foundation of our deliberations over the next 2 days. And with that, I am absolutely confident that we are going to have a fruitful exercise. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thanks for your support. Thanks for being here this morning. I really look forward to the engagement over the next few hours and days. Thanks.
And our thanks to you, Dr. Kishore Shallow, President of Cricket West Indies. Thank you very much, sir, for your remarks and your presence here with us this morning. Well, ladies and gentlemen, cricket is all about lyrics. There's been lots said about the sport, and as part of the opening ceremony, brief though it may be, it was important to also insert a poem from the emerging generations across the Caribbean. Young poet Tyrese Campbell will share a little story on This is Cricket. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Mr. Tyrese Campbell.
Oh, shucks, boy. It shucks, boy. A man out fat duck. It rough, boy. They out there getting licks. A 6, boy. They looking sick like they need Vicks, boy. You could see them feeling it. You could check the sweat getting thick. Oh, gosh. Oh, shims. Oh, shit. Shh. Be quiet. I can't even hear. Like I red line in, because everything going clear. Everybody hands in the air. Everybody hands in the air. People jumping up like it's a fete in here. Can't sit down, forget the chair. Can't turn my head, I had to steer. A ball come my way. I grasping. The man in the backyard breathe, he gasping. The other one can't eat, he fasting. But you know the appetite still raging, because it's a feast the way everybody stampeding. Stamp your tickets, every star playing. Star your favorite, everybody campaigning. Bring the champagne in. It's a scene. And everybody can't even get in. And next man out, boy, they take a wicket. And next man outside, boy, still trying to pay for tickets. He pray he gets it. They say he wicked. But he just say home and miss it. Everybody moving around. They screaming. It's like surround sound around town. They reeling. It's a movie. And you witness a piece of history. And next man make a century. The team almost a victory. Everybody making memories. But on the field, somebody making a memoir. Somebody else writing a eulogy. An autobiography, autographing their mark on this world. Because after this, they become legends automatically. So load up the matic and crack it autocratically. Again and again and again. That's how serious we take it. You can't fake it. It's a love that we have for this sport. So we treat it like Sun Tzu. The art of war, bat is the sword, ball is the bullet, armor on, shin pads and helmets. And everybody around the perimeter. Because this man up next, he just said boundary like he don't know about 1, 2, and 3. He started learning to count at 4. So count on the Lord because everything's counting down. Don't come with the clown thing now. We serious. And everybody at home in suspense. Radio, TV, or live stream, whatever your choice. Either way, you could hear the energy in the commentator's voice. The way he described a man bowling action and a next man batting technique. But even right now, he's at a lost for words, sitting at the edge of his seat, shifting his feet, gritting his teeth, just like you. because he want to know what this all come down to. Last day, last innings, a last over, last ball, last run, at last it's all over. And you don't know how to feel. You don't know what's a dream or what real. Win, lose, or draw, you're still looking at the score. Your friend next to you in uproar. Well, the other one, he can't stop grinning. It's always supporting different teams, but only one winning. Cricket is more than just a game, a play, a match. As they say, cricket is a way for nations to wage war in peace. A way for the newly independent to showcase their new identity. A way for the youth that always saying getting out of pocket to get out of poverty. A way to escape when you feel like the world is on your shoulders and nothing's working out. Cricket is the pain relief, the medication, the Panadol. Cricket is Guyana, the Leeward Islands, and Barbados. Cricket is Jamaica, the Windward Islands, and Trinidad and Tobago. Cricket pulses in the veins of the West Indies. Cricket beats in the heart of every CARICOM country. Cricket is Grandpa, sitting on the couch, talking about the old-time days when he used to play. And your little child that could barely hold the bat, pelting the ball and breaking your face, falling flat on your face. Cricket is the stadium, the savannah, the school courtyard. Cricket is contest, conflicts, and competition. Cricket is an evening sunset conversation. So when I say, oh, shucks, boy, shots, boy, it's never too rough, boy, it's love, boy. It's not just kicks, it's more fix, boy. It's not about tricks and politics, boy, I mean it. When I say the sky is the limit, and best believe it, because this is cricket. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tyrese Campbell. If you were not inspired as yet to settle down to get to work on where we take the sport of our region, well, the future has just placed it before you. We may have remembered a Paul Keynes Douglas and a Vibert, etc., but here's Tyrese doing what young people want to do. The young man is part of the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board team. He is inspired by poet Darren Sandy. And this weekend, for those of you who are visiting Trinidad and Tobago for the two-day conference, on Sunday there's the National Poetry Slam in Port of Spain. Adjust your flight. In this, our brief opening ceremony, we move now to remarks by our regional leaders. And it is my pleasure to invite to address you and to deliver remarks the Prime Minister of Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mia Motley.
Please sit, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My dear brother, Prime Minister Rowley, former Prime Minister Keith Mitchell, distinguished legends of West Indies cricket, and you would forgive me if I also add my own national hero, the Right Excellent Sir Gary Sobers, who is not here in person, but is always anywhere there is cricket being discussed in the Caribbean. Cricket, lovely cricket. It is more than bat and ball. Those were the words that I spoke to last year when having the honor of delivering the Frank Worrell Lecture. It took me about 2 years to decide to do it. Not because I can't talk, but because I figured that the emotion of having to deliver that address would be a very difficult moment. And I say so because for as long as I can remember myself, I had the good fortune of growing up with an exposure to cricket. The great Sir Charles Griffith is here. And on a Saturday afternoon, sometimes I would come outside in our house and he would be playing with other people. And to me, that was an amazing opportunity at 6 and 7 years old to see a giant of a man with whom you could touch and play and relate. As a young kid outside of Kensington, standing by the Players' Pavilion, waiting for Sir Andy Roberts and Joel Garner and Michael Holden, Malcolm Marshall, Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenidge, they probably wouldn't even have known, because I was just any other little girl asking for an autograph. I still have Imran Khan, Zahir Abbas, Majid Khan's autographs. I set this tone because it is important for us to truly understand what we mean in the hearts of each and every boy and girl in this region. But I stand here today now, not as an expert of cricket, definitely a fan and a lover of West Indies, but I stand here as a trustee of a legacy that my country, which has defined itself in many ways, but one of those clear ways is through the game of cricket. And Keith, I would not know how not to be here. Not just because we will host the finals of Cricket World Cup, and as the smallest nation in the world to now host 3 global sporting events, with cricket being the 3rd largest global event, only after the Olympics and football. I place that in context because it is important for us to understand that the mission must be the nurturing of a DNA of excellence that is allowed to spread beyond the boundary into every aspect of our lives as Caribbean people, to reflect on the fact that because politicians can't do better, this is still the best example, along with the University of the West Indies, of Caribbean civilization. And to accept the obligation that in an interdependent world, we must create global citizens with Caribbean roots. Keith, you spoke about the difference between the game and the business. But at the core of it is about development and investment. It is the young people, and I'm happy that finally it is not just boys, but boys and girls, who will become the men and women who can become these global citizens with Caribbean roots. My heart filled with pride this week when Haley Matthews was heralded by Wisden T20 Cricketer of the Year. And it did so because, Mr. President, when you and I first met, when you took over, it was actually International Women's Day, March 8th. And I asked you then to start the journey of removing the discriminatory practices between men and women. Practices that go as far as the quality of the coverage and the camera covering the game, meaning that it becomes less alluring to those who may not be fully engaged, purely because when you look at IPL and you look at the women playing cricket, in many other jurisdictions, it just doesn't even look the same. That cannot be a metaphor for our own development. And the fact and the obligation of removing the discrimination that exists between men and women's cricket is absolutely critical. I have said to you, and I offer you now publicly again, that Kensington Oval, that iconic ground, could be a location where we break new ground again in history by having a mixed gender game, recognizing that in the Olympics you're going to soon have mixed gender relays. And we don't need to wait on others to lead us, but we can resume the leadership in ensuring that just as the game has evolved from Test to 50 over to T20 to the increase in women's cricket, that ultimately that will soon be the next step. But I haven't come here to talk about that alone, because there has to be an ecosystem that is developed and a recognition that a core part of the development strategy of the region must include opportunities for our sportsmen, of which cricket is the one, along with team sport, that has most allowed us to be learned, to be accepted globally as a legitimate brand. In spite of the ups and downs, the West Indies cricket brand is still strong. And what does that tell you about it? That it is enduring. And we have an obligation to be able to level the field by the investments that we have to make in this sport, recognizing that not all may make the team, the right to wear that maroon, but all can participate at different levels to make a living. And whether it is exporting persons to help in coaching across the world, Africa is now having a keen interest in the development of this game, whether it is through the ability of us to have as many of our youngsters play, whether it is in the creation of the supply of world-class and first-class umpires, whether it is in people who are in the business of keeping the field and the outfield and the pitches in good form, or in the ability to sell pitches to the United States of America instead of them buying from Australia. Whatever it is, we must plan now the careful investment that will allow us to see this as a viable, productive, and economic sector, while at the same time having the luxury of being the love of our life. If you can marry business with love, I'm told that that is the most perfect example of how we can enjoy while at the same time advance. I want to suggest that the critical investment in our young people, in our villages, in our communities, to be able to ensure that those who may be attracted to the lights and the celebrity fame of basketball and all of those other sports need to be told and exposed to the fact that they can make a very good living if they choose to apply themselves in these areas. And may I say that with respect to the investment, let us remember that Europe did not conquer Africa because Europe was larger than Africa. Europe did not conquer Africa because they had more people than Africa. Europe conquered Africa because of the use of technology, and in particular gunpowder. Today, we have other regions investing significantly in technology. But the absence of technology in our own region for our own players is a crying shame. And that is why, in securing the funding for the critical refurbishment of Kensington Oval, I indicated to the Barbados Cricket Association that we were not only seeking to restore and to upgrade an iconic ground that has the distinction of hosting will have the distinction of hosting 3 global finals, but there could be no investment that does not have in it the outfitting of an indoor facility with the highest and best technology available so that Barbadian boys and girls can benefit in the same way as any child in Australia or in England or wherever else. And that has to be our responsibility as trustees. And whatever else we do, and certainly I think that we should deal with the elephant in the room, which is the insularity. There are so many jokes about that throughout, and I'm sure that we will be regaled with them over the next 2 days. But may I just remind us, as I said, do not follow the politicians in not being able to create that ultimate union. Do not. Because you actually remain the inspiration for the rest of us to believe that one day, as I speak even to you in the former capital of the West Indies Federation, that one day that we too in the rest of the region can get our act together and have the best of this civilization performing not in cricket alone, but in the management of the affairs of our region, in the creation of other teams. Can you imagine if we had a West Indies football team instead of each of us trying to go into World Cup football as individual territories? And that is the genius of what you have here as a legacy. So that we have come to Port of Spain to defend that legacy and to build upon it and to nurture a DNA of excellence, to create global citizens with Caribbean roots, and to celebrate the Caribbean civilization. And just as Sir Wesley, in that quotation from the President, reflected that failure is not a cataclysmic event but a series of mistakes, success is a habit. And we must now give our cricketers all that they need in terms of the ecosystem, from business to the physical infrastructure, to the mental support and coaching, to the life skills. We take people and we don't necessarily appreciate that if we don't invest in their personal development, we cannot invest then in the collective outcome of success. And I hope, therefore, that as we speak here, Keith, and forgive me, because when we met in this same building a year ago to be able to deal with how we confront crime in this region, we understood that if we don't give our young people purpose and give them opportunity, then they will find themselves on a path that does not bring joy to all of us. So I hope that this next day and a half will allow us frank conversation, but will also allow us to make concrete decisions from wherever we sit, as administrators of cricket, as legends of cricket, as players of cricket, as governments, as private sector, from wherever we sit, because it is only in the collective agreement to a common purpose that we can ensure that that brand which has taken a little beating can continue to be there for generations of Caribbean people. I wish us a successful meeting, but more importantly, I wish us that we can create a spirit that will allow our current team, as we go into this World Cup, to not only allow us to be reflecting on 1975 and 1979 and the glory days of Sir Clive and all of you. And Sir Clive, we commend you for being and receiving the Order of the Caribbean Community again. But it will allow us to be able to recognize that the institution in which we have invested so much is capable still of bringing us great glory and passion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Motley. Thank you all. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now receive remarks online from Guyana, and we look forward to the contribution this morning from His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Your Excellency, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much. First of all, allow me to congratulate Prime Minister Keith Rowley for convening this very important symposium. I was making all arrangements to be in Trinidad and Tobago, but there are some urgent matters beyond the boundary that I'm attending to. But I want to say that today is an important day for us as a region, because cricket is not only played on the field in this region. Cricket is played in the hearts of our people. It is played to encourage positive living. And we have to look at the entire cricketing ecosystem if we are to address the issues of cricket in the region. Cricket is linked directly to our economies, linked to our tourism product, and we have to honestly analyze whether we have redefined our brand to incorporate all the factors that cricket is linked to in this region. I have spent some time developing a comprehensive presentation that I'm going to ask my brother Keith, and if he denied the request, I'll ask my sister Mia Motley to ensure that the presentation is looked at. In that presentation, I sought to look at some threats, opportunities, and for us to redefine the ecosystem of Cricket West Indies. There are some important questions that we must answer, and we have to appreciate that cricket is no longer what it used to be. It is being heavily commercialized. It is moving towards the football model of franchising. And we have to match the dynamics of the changing market to our brand and safeguarding the fundamentals of what cricket mean to us as a region. So we have to redefine this brand and ask some very key questions. What are we known for? What is our brand? How do we recreate ourselves? Who owns the brand? In redefining the brand, we have to work on how we're going to protect the brand, expand the brand, position the brand, and create global ownership. I think these are fundamental questions that we will have to answer. And this conference, I think this symposium, gives us an opportunity to discuss what the brand should look like, who should promote the brand. We have some low-hanging fruits in our legends, and how this brand should be positioned. I believe that we must, the truth be told, the system of cricket, the global system of cricket, conspired against us in their rules and regulations. We were known for fearsome fast bowling, real fast bowling, and then the system was changed. The rules were changed to deny us of this brand of our cricket. And we allowed the rule to change without much protest. We, in this region, brings excitement with our fast bowling, our attacking stroke play. We don't need to change this. We need to master this. We need to grow this. We need to expand this as our brand. And then beyond the boundary, there are some important things that we have to look at. Our vibes, our culture, our entertainment, our food, our tourism, our markets, our merchandising, integrating other sports with cricket, the societal integration, positive living, community orientation. All of these are factors beyond the boundary that must be integrated into this cricketing plan that we must develop. When you look at West Indies fans and West Indies cricketing environment in the stands, you must not see tea drinking and lap clapping. You must see a different vibe, a different energy, a different style, a different party, a different mood. That is what is going to define a different position of the product we will offer. Because cricket is also a product. How do we build this product? How do we showcase in our stands and in our stadium the sun, sand, and sea, the ecotourism? How do we build that into the facility? How do we create smart stadiums? We have to also look at the stadiums we have and whether it is attractive enough to give the personalized experience that fans want globally now from sporting events. And then we have the threats. We cannot leave this conference without discussing the threats. The threats with the growing North American cricket that can bring in a lot more fans, a lot more revenue. I believe that we need to examine whether we need to move West Indies Cricket Board, West Indies Cricket from West Indies Cricket Board to the American Cricket Board. Because we have to now work towards owning cricket in the Americas. And how do we develop a strategy where West Indies cricket become the owner of cricket within the Americas? These are things that I think we have to address. I think CPL is an opportunity. We have to work to see how we can expand and build on this opportunity to lead us into the best form of franchise cricketing. In Guyana, we are working with the West Indies Cricket Board and CPL and the ICC to launch a new product for the region that will position the region in the global market. And that is the World Premier League. That will replace, we're hoping can replace what used to be the Champions League. And that league would have had the best sides coming together to play for, to recognize the best franchise team. So I won't bore you much longer, but I believe that the entire ecosystem of cricket, we have to address the different aspects of the problem we face. We are losing fans, the loss of ownership, lack of talent, lack of responsibility, and reduced fan base. These are things that are real. These are things that are real, and it requires institutional rearrangement, governance rearrangement, and we have to look at as to whether we need a common legislation across the board in all the countries in the way in which we look at cricket and cricket is governed. So I will just stop here and ask that at some appropriate point, the presentation that was prepared can be shared with all the stakeholders. I want to thank again Prime Minister Rowley for this enormous effort in bringing together this significant group for what is an important part of our national and regional life. Thank you very much, and I wish the conference all the best.
And thank you very much, Your Excellency, Chair of CARICOM, and of course, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this crystallizes and brings to the culmination our brief opening ceremony for today's symposium. and looking at strategic collaboration and innovation as it relates to CARICOM regional cricket. We will take a 10-minute break at this time. Once we return to the room, we will have the perspective on West Indies cricket with virtual views. We will also have a glimpse into Cricket West Indies strategic plan with a presentation and an assessment with a panel on the state of West Indies cricket. We take a brief moment for 10 minutes, and we'll see you on the other side of our break. Thank you.